Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Sports Exchange. Candy Ebling, Jacob Christner, and Denzel Snipes. Great job on the first half of our doubleheader on Pundit Spun It tonight. My voice is not going to be taxed because I had the first show off and Candy did the stuff. So JB, our new tonight, and the other three are carryovers from the other show. Meanwhile, great doubleheader that we have. All right. With that said, on behalf of all of us, we want to let JB Ellis know congratulations on your wedding next week. We're going to miss you. But, boy, I'll tell you what, you're going to Mexico, and I believe you said Cancun, right?
Correct. Yeah, I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you, guys.
Is that your honeymoon also?
I've been to Cancun.
No.
When you get away from those little somber moments, don't be afraid to see a few bullfights. You have a lot of my animals fighting with each other. So I don't know if that's something I should be promoting when you're out there for a wedding. But, I've been to Cancun, and I got news for you. I enjoy bargaining with the Mexicans. I tell you what, when I get done with Mexicans, they end up needing Tylenol 10. Okay, just if you guys can
enjoy, Jamie, enjoy.
We had to get that out there. That isn't a parting shot at all. That's a congratulations 101. All right, well, let me give everybody an overview of what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about some injuries. We're going to be talking about some NBA. And let me tell you, between injuries in the NBA and a little bit of baseball, we're going to have our full show. Parting shots will only be, time permitting, following the Sports Exchange Confidential. Starts at 10:10 Eastern Time, hosted by JB Ellis. I think Denzel and Jacob will be on too, right? All of y'all?
Yep,
Yeah.
Nick Bockins is coming on too, so we're gonna have a nice show.
All right, Nick Bockins.
And then from here, it's after that, it's going to be the regular. It's going to be the regular amount of time after that. So.
Yeah. Well, when you talk to Nick, tell him that there's a phone call waiting. We'll bring him on here at some point. But I'm glad. Well, make sure we get everybody in front of Confidential 10:10 Eastern Time. So after you get off the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network YouTube channel, blah blah blah, flip over to Sideline Sports and. Then we talk about the Cubs. All right. With that said, right now we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. 4 plays and out on Monday Night Football. Will he retire from an Achilles injury? Candy Ebling.
I do not see him retiring, although it depends on how hard and how long and how he feels once he has healed. He was meeting with doctors, I believe, today, and then they were going to determine when surgery and stuff. But I really don't see him retiring. He wants to play longer. He wants more. He wants another title. Will he be able to come back from this? I was reading an article that said a doctor thought because he is in such good condition that he has a very good chance of coming back and being ready to go. He can start throwing. If he would have surgery very soon, he could start throwing already for spring mini camp, and he could be back for the first of next season. So do I see him doing it? Yes. I think he loves the game. He loves playing the game. He wanted out of Green Bay, let's face it. That's why I think he kept, should I retire or should I not? I think it's still in him. The competitive edge is still in him. He still wants to play because let's face it, he would not need to. He has made plenty of money, has plenty of endorsements already. But he still has the fire that he wants to compete. So I say he does not retire and he will come back as a Jet.
What do you think, JB?
Listen, the Jets went all out and went all in on Aaron Rodgers. It's a shame to see what happened to the Jets, but they're the Jets. They're cursed. And, do I think Rodgers comes back? He loves football, but is his head of the game after this? He has a whole year to think about it. He's a wild card, You never know what he's thinking. Would anyone have thought that he went down the path that he went down and would have left Green Bay where he was, basically a god? Who knows? I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the New York media has to say about how he reacts now that he's hurt, what he says to the media before the season ends. And then we'll get a better grasp of it as that happens.
Denzel?
He actually had put up his first tweet post-injury. He said, "The night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again." Knowing Aaron Rodgers and his competitive spirit, absolutely not. He's not retiring. He has unfinished business. You know, in terms of competitors, if you had to compare them to basketball players, if Tom Brady was Michael Jordan, one could say Rodgers is like Kobe. You know, um, he's determined to not let the New York fan base down. He wants to play out the rest of his days as a Jet and everything, and he wants to prove that he can come back. And you just think unprecedented. He'll be like 40 next year. Comes back at 40, post Achilles injury, and puts up however many numbers he puts up. Maybe they'll be historic numbers. It'll be historic within itself seeing a 40-year-old come back after an Achilles injury. You know what I mean? But it's a shame because players have actually complained about that turf. They've complained about the turf, and that I think right there is the unsung song about this whole thing is the turf at MetLife Stadium. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think even Giants players and Jets players have complained about that turf. So that may be something that the NFL can take a look at. But because if I'm not mistaken, JB, the old Giants Stadium had natural grass. Didn't it?
No, it's turf.
No.
Oh, it was turf. It was
terrible
actual turf.
turf.
I'm sorry. It was actual turf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they actually, that's something to take a look at. But to Aaron Rodgers, here's to a speedy recovery. No, I don't think it's over with yet.
Turn over to you, Jacob.
Oh, Philly had that turf. The Giants had that turf. That turf. I mean, it was AstroTurf, and Michaelirvin busted his neck up on that stuff. It was ridiculous. But it's just terrible turf by itself. You don't need to have it anymore, especially the grass can do inside. But here's the thing, though. What's in common with everybody is all these injuries coming back. More ideas about health. Got to remember now that you've got these, you've got all these little CBD deals. Mike Tyson, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair have all of them now. All of them are saying how much healthier they feel by taking that stuff instead of pills. It's like he's going to get his surgery. He's not going to have to take pills. He's going to have all that kind of stuff, all that kind of CBD oils. He's going to have all that kind of thing. We're going to see for real now. He's at all season and the off season and everything to find out how much that stuff works. Because remember, he was talking about taking ayahuasca. So he'll take drugs. So you got to realize we're going to literally see in real time, especially when he promotes it, what the ayahuasca, what the CBD oils and everything do for his recovery. And it's probably, and then you might see Tom Brady do it eventually, and you might see all that. And then you might start seeing higher ends, the end of the, you might be seeing the end of pills and the end of everything in that thing and see longer careers.
Well, all I'll say, I've said it on a couple shows this week, and I'll say it again. Aaron Rodgers is not going out this way under no uncertain terms. For all the drama that we've seen, he's been on Hard Knocks now. He's been with the Green Bay, will I return, or as he Rodgers turns, and all the soap operas that are connected to this guy. He will not go out this way, period. So, I don't care if he's wearing number 8, his Cal jersey, or 12 with Green Bay. Nobody wants to go out with an Achilles injury. And more importantly, the one guy that's hoping he can come back and hopefully still has a little bit of effect on that team is Zach Wilson. Even though the man is hurt, doesn't mean he can't be in the quarterback room and try to mentor him, even though he wanted to do it in the first place. So, with all due respect, you know what? Aaron Rodgers, to me, as Denzel just stated moments ago, does have unfinished business, and I see unfinished business becoming the case once the clock hits 40. All right. For some crazy reason, guys and gal, it seems like I'm watching MASH, okay? Remember the old MASH shows that we're talking about? Everybody getting hurt and the bunkers and all that. Well, we got another MASH type of topic. And, I don't know. I used to like MASH myself, but I'm not going to get into the detail because everybody out there might have a different opinion. But since we're on it, Texas Rangers right-handed pitcher maxscherzer, 39, will miss the remaining of the regular season with a right teres major strain, and it's unlikely he'll return for the postseason. But before I turn it over to anybody, okay, just so you know, the Sports Exchange being broadcast around the world, the audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate you helping us get down the stretch because we're over 900. And anyway. Please also comment, like, share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. The chat room would be a great way to do it, and hopefully we'll get some activity soon enough. Otherwise, and I know we will, but also please send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me 954-304-4941. Certainly talk a whole lot faster than Candy, don't I? Then again, she wouldn't know any other way. But then again, I probably talk faster than 90% of the people out there. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter @TribuneSouth. Candy Ebling is normally behind the scenes, but now she's in front of the camera. All right, now that I got the company business out of the way, let's talk about Max Scherzer, Candy.
I remember one of the coaches came on, and I don't remember which show it was, but he said that part of the reason we're seeing so many injuries, especially like in baseball, is that as young kids, we're training them to be only on one sport wonders. Well, when you do one sport wonders, you're always using the same muscles. Whereas if you played different sports, you use different muscles, you tone everything and you're fully in shape. If you're only using the same muscles all the time, you're going to wear them down. They get tired and worn out. I hate to say it. And let's face it, years ago, we didn't have AstroTurf and some of these artificial surfaces that can really do damage. I think that's part of the reason. And I think we all are striving to get better and better and better. And for some reason, we think that means I got to throw it faster. I got to throw it harder. Not I got to place the pitch better. I've got to throw it faster. I got to throw it harder. I got to be better. 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 And I think, yes, you want to strive to do your best, but I think sometimes we can overdo it. And so I think that's part of what it is.
Okay.
We're throwing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, arm injuries, Tommy John surgery or no Tommy John surgery, the reality is they're going to happen. So with that said, I'll turn over to JB.
As sports evolve and athletes do different type of training, as advanced as they get, it appears that injuries start popping up more and more. If you look back 20, 30 years ago, Tommy John surgery was so rare.
Right.
And now the training regimen's so different. These athletes are doing so many different things.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm not out there training baseball players or basketball players, so I don't know what it is that's causing it, which particular exercise, or is it throwing a fork ball, a curve ball? I don't have that answer, but there's something that's changed because the training regimen's not like what it was. I mean, go back almost 100 years, a guy like Babe Ruth, he was in phenomenal shape, but he didn't train like Aaron Judge. And, Aaron Judge is hurt every year. Babe Ruth played almost every day. So there's something to be said for maybe these guys are overtraining, and that's what's causing these injuries. I can't put a pinpoint exactly what it is, since it's not my field of expertise, but I would definitely say it has something to do with as advanced as we've gotten in training, the science of training athletes. We think we're more advanced than we are, and it's causing more injuries than it may prevent.
All right, Denzel.
And me and Jacob talked about this like not too long ago, because my favorite pitcher of all time is the Nolan Express. Guy was throwing 100 at 47. Crazy, right? Since then, yes. Oh, go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
Nolanryan, that's a good choice. Go ahead.
But we literally haven't seen anything like him since. We've seen the second coming of Montana and Tom Brady. We've seen the second coming of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. There has not been a second coming of Nolan Ryan, and Nolan Ryan retired in what, 94? So you have a guy, 93, yes. So here you have a guy who at the age of 47 was still throwing 100. You know what I hear some of these kids are doing nowadays? They're actually electing to getting Tommy John surgery uninjured, getting the surgery just so they can throw faster.
One died from it.
And one lost his life from it, and that's what it's about. I'm in agreement with Jacob, excuse me, with JB here. The training regimen isn't the same. Everybody's trying to come out of college being power pitchers. I'm also going to go with Candy on this one, and that is it's too much. There's not enough emphasis on ball placement. On ball placement. No one wants to try to throw the knuckleball anymore, which is like the hardest pitch to throw, right? No one wants to try to master a curveball anymore. It's like, Jacob says it. Chicks dig the long ball. Well, I guess they also dig the fastball too. The thing is they ain't built like Nolan anymore. And so you got to be careful with this. Times have changed. You got to be smarter. You'll never see a Nolan. Never. Okay? So just be you. Play smart.
All right, before I turn over to Jacob, Samuel K., who, by the way, you guys are all going to get to know as time goes on. I work with him on the Sports Exchange when he's on internet radio. So he's a very good, knowledgeable sports guy. We'll be on. So get used to it. He said, what about Ohtani? Well, we all know that Ohtani could find himself with an arm operation at some point or another. We'll just see whether he can have the multiple wear and tear between hitting and pitching. So good point, Sammy. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, Jacob, I'll turn it over to you.
Here's a thing that happens. Number one, Wayne Gretzky used to say it himself. He played the hockey all winter, threw the sticks away to play baseball. Thought he could be the next whatever his hero was. Then he went back to the sticks. I mean, look what happened on that. And by the way, and just to let you know, there was that little thing on a video where Wayne Gretzky's facing Pelé and Pelé and I'm trying to think, Bjorn Borg and a couple others, and blew them completely away. And remember, he was on ice, not deep, but he blew them away in a running race. He was a better athlete than people ever gave credit for because he did all kinds of different things. But then here's another thing we don't. But I'm just saying those things. There's another thing we don't do. We are training kids on. We're training kids on weights way before they're ready. 8, 9, 10 years old. We're not telling kids to go do push-ups,
right,
crunches, pull-ups, body weight things that will protect their body but make them stronger.
Right.
Get them in the weight room, maybe 4. Huh?
No, you're right. I agree with everything you're saying.
But we're not telling them to go into the weight. We're telling them to go to the weight room 8, 9, 10 years old instead of like 14 when their body's ready.
Right.
And it's like push-ups, 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 push-ups. I mean, my dad used to, and not that I listened too well on that. I did some, but I could have banged a lot more out, and stuff like that. And I would have been really ready for the weight room. Besides, you'll be more ready for the weight room when your body's ready for that. But they don't do it. They get them ready right off the bat, and then you wonder why you have 17-year-old in with the blow in the elbow or a bad knee or whatever. See, this is the thing. People wonder why the 120-pound MMA fighters going to beat up the 260-pound and it's because it's different muscles.
Right.
You're not. Guess what? It's like you've seen the video of the bodybuilder trying to get the sticker off his back and he can't get there because his arm's too big. If you ain't flexible, it's the wrong type of muscles. And we're not teaching every type of muscle with these kids is why they're blowing everything out. Period. We're not teaching that type of thing. They're blowing all these out, and then now you have Steven Strasburg going out. And yet you take him out at 5 2/3. You have Jacob deGrom going out. Take him out 3 2/3. You're taking them out, and they're getting hurt anyway.
Right. Don't get me started on that. That could be a topic for, later on down the road.
Yeah, but I'm saying
I still have to be listen. I got to be conscious of confidential because if you start incorporating 1-hour topics into a short segment, then I'm going to be in deep trouble. I breathe you, man. I breathe you. So don't worry. Yeah, because I got to make sure that our folks out in the Midwest don't want Jacob Christner to go way overboard. Okay, over the hill and through.
But that never happens. I'm telling you.
All right. The only thing I'll say about Denzel is you're 100% right. I used to go ahead. I love Nolan Ryan. And of course, I don't know if I liked his pitching or the beating he laid on Robin Ventura. Ooh, that was a tough shot. So, that was up. He packs a powerful punch. So, all right. But but the irony here, or maybe it isn't an irony, the way I constructed the show is Rodgers is 39, and so is Scherzer. And you're talking about two 39-year-olds that are on the back end of their career due to wear and tear. And that's what we have. And as a result, of course, now the Achilles injury isn't attributed to wear and tear. That can happen anywhere. But the amazing part about it is, yes, they are in MASH, okay, without Alan Alda and the rest of them. But, again, and yet these two things happen within days apart when you think about it, right? What are we, Wednesday night? Yeah, Monday night. So, but yet here we are. We're addressing it. Older athletes, as I mentioned in the show, injuries to sports biggest stars. In this case, we're talking about the older athletes per se. So it all blends in nicely. So we're going to stay on baseball a little bit. I really like this thing, and I'm going to follow these people on Twitter. Okay, but according to @TalkinYanks, David Wells, who put tape over the Nike logo. Okay, hear this. Okay, says Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone aren't to blame for the Yankees' struggles. He says struggling players should be sent to the minors no matter how much they're paid. Wells says players are coddled and babied too much. Now, bear in mind, I talk about the source because Talking Yanks, which will have one more follower after this, maybe a needle in a haystack. They'll follow us. You never know where it goes. They have they're only following 2,985 people, but they got 217,100 followers. So guess what? Their message is getting out there. So with that said, okay, Candy, take it away.
How do you say I'm going to pay somebody $50 million and then to send them down to the minors? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I get it. The Yankees are not where anybody thought they would be right now. The Yankees paid a lot of money for people that are injury prone. Let's face it. They're not, they're part of this injuries too. But wins and losses also fall partly on your coach and your GM, because depending on how much depth you have, if you have injuries, and let's face it, a manager, you can use analytics like we were talking on Pundit tonight, or you can't, or you don't have to. But I think some of it does. Let's face it. How many times has Aaron Boone gotten thrown out because he's argued calls that were like, are you kidding me? Really? I mean, come on. He's been thrown out so many times, it's not even funny. Part of it does absolutely come down to a manager. That's why you go out and get a manager. That's their job. It's your job as a baseball player to go out there. But mind you, it's also the job of the opposing team to make you not good either. So is it always to blame on the Yankees, or is it some of the people that they're playing against? That's why you play the game, because any given day, any team can beat any other team. But yes, you have to blame the coach. I mean, it comes down to it. That's what the coach is there to motivate your players to help them do better.
I like that perspective. All right, JB.
So David Wells, who was a mediocre pitcher, happened to play for the Yankees, and is only remembered because he had a perfect game.
Right.
And to be honest with you, mediocre.
Right.
He needs to calm down. Brian Cashman's job is to put the best team that he can on the field. Very simple. That's all his job is, to get the best players for the budget he has and to get a winning team in the Bronx. Brian Cashman has failed at that since 2009. Boone's job is to, as Candy said, to motivate the players, to put the best lineup on the field, and to make the right calls in certain situations. He's done a horrible job. Him and David Ross should take a long fishing vessel way out to sea and never be seen in baseball again. But that's besides the point. They're definitely part of the problem. Should guys be sent down to the minors? I like to see you send a guy who's making $20 million, $30 million, and say, you know what, you're going to the AAA team. I'm sending you to AA. You're going to go down to Tampa to play for a month in A-ball. That's not going to happen. It's not the way of the game anymore. This isn't the 1970s where you were an indentured servant to your team before
Right.
Kurt Flood. Now it doesn't work that way anymore. David Wells, I mean, you're beloved because you were part of many championship teams in the Bronx. I love you. I love your grit. But if you don't know what you're talking about, just don't speak. And it's okay to have an opinion, but you're way off base on this one. Maybe become a pitching coach and help the Yankees pitchers become better, because you're not helping anybody by backing two guys that shouldn't be back in the Bronx next year.
The only thing I'll say before I turn to you, Dens, about his statement that might merit a little bit is that nowadays, I don't care, and it's across all sports, okay, not just baseball, is that players are coddled and babied a little bit. They really, really are. I mean, and when I say that, I say that the lack of complete games and a lot of the other stats that we viewed upon as really sacred type of stats are being taken away. I realize there's a large monetary investment. I think it's unrealistic you're going to send these guys down other than a rehab, because that's probably all you're going to be able to do 1 or 2 weeks. Got to work the marbles out. But, let's face the reality, coddled and babied too much now. I'm not going to totally disagree with that one at all, because let's face the reality, baseball has more guaranteed contracts than a lot of the other ones. So I leave a window open there. But the thing I'm going to say is this: Aaron Boone cannot think he's the next Earl Weaver or Bobby Cox and have an over-under attached to him how many times he's going to get thrown out of a game all year. That, to me, does you no good. I think it's counterproductive, because you need the manager on the field as much as possible for the duration of the game. And that's where my issues go with Aaron Boone. Bear in mind, and I'll turn over to you, Denz, but I'm on a roll with this one, so bear with me, okay? Georgesteinbrenner doesn't own this team anymore. Halsteinbrenner does. If Georgesteinbrenner saw a manager underperforming, he's gone. We all know his track record for impatience letting managers go. Halsteinbrenner, to say the least, is a bit more patient. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, I'll turn over to you, Denzel. That's all I have to say about the topic.
I'm glad you said that last part. He is a little bit more patient. I know a lot of people feel Cashman and Boone should be gone, but keep in mind is that when you have seasons like last season, when the Yankees were the second best team in the American League, it gives them more of an excuse to keep them around. It's the same debate I had with Dallas Cowboys fans. As bad as they wanted Jason Garrett gone, you do realize when the Cowboys have a 12-win season, that gives Jerry Jones an excuse to keep the man around. And the man was like his son, So keep in mind, and then it's like this with just about any other team. Winning cures all, okay? As long as they are winning and they're hanging around, it gives them an excuse to keep them around, because you think, oh, well, maybe we're missing a piece here or a piece there. I know Aaron Judge had the whole signing deal, before this season. He was named captain and everything. Now, on the other side of the fence, there is cause for them being gone, because the Yankees have not seen a World Series since 2009. And as a matter of fact, the 2010s is the only decade in which the Yankees did not reach a World Series in team history. As a matter of fact, since then, their very own hated rivals, the Red Sox, have seen and won 2 World Series since the Yankees' last one. So that right there has to be deep in the minds of Yankees fans. And it's one thing to not see. It's one thing to not see a World Series in that amount of time. It's another thing to see your eternal hated rivals see and win 2 of them before you see another one next.
Actually, Denzel, I thought the number was 3, wasn't it?
Was it 3? I know they won in 18. The Sox won in 18 and 13 since the Yankees' last one.
Yeah, 1 with Cora and I think 2 with Terry Francona, unless we want to do the research on that. We can correct me, but I know your point, though, Denz. The reality is Joe Girardi won that last championship, and Boone hasn't sniffed anything close to it.
Right. So, in closing, I'm on the fence about it. I understand both sides.
Right. Okay. All right,
and the
Jacob.
Cubs won before the Yankees.
Oh, that's hideous.
And the Cubs won before the Yankees. The 108 years, everything before the Yankees did. But here's the thing. When I heard David, I almost said David Ross because we're going to be doing Confidential. But no, when David Wells said that, all I can think about is he must have got his head banged when he got knocked out by a 150-pound guy and got sucker punched. That must have been how his mind thinks. But some years ago. But the thing about it, though, is I said it myself. Yankee, I mean, at the same time, it is past his time as far as Cashman. Same time, do not just hire, because the Bears do this all the time. You get rid of somebody and then you make it worse. Don't hire just to put a warm body in there. Make sure you get something right. In the end, that's still a pile of ALCSs, including a recent one. It can get a heck of a lot worse. Every time. You've got to get go get a Theo Epstein. Go get whatever you need be and make sure it's replaced properly. Make sure he's replaced properly, the Cashman. But as far as them go, the whole thing does need to be torn because it can get itself worse, but I'm like, just don't replace it with a warm body. I just don't. I just, with Cashman, it's like, remember, they're going to miss it now. They're probably going to miss. So, after doing all that, after not making the World Series, it is time to go. And it's time for Aaron Boone to go.
So, Candy, do you have something?
I don't have it yet, no.
All right, well, when she comes on it, she will, our crack researcher here. So the reality is I believe that Wells is certainly known for being a very opinionated individual, and I'll allude to what JBL has said. He did have a lot of his best success in the Bronx. So his voice is going to be heard, and people are going to pay attention. Whether you agree or not, that's another story. I'm not wagering a debate of such a thing like that. So we're going to go over to the NBA. I know we get opportunities to talk about it. And now we definitely have a good couple of topics that are certainly worth bringing to our attention. Draymond Green has a new goal this season. He views this as one of the most important years of his career. He wants to win a championship for chrispaul, his first one. I think it's a noble goal. What do you think, Candy?
Anytime you want to help somebody win a championship, it's a great goal. I mean, that's the reason why you're playing, right? You're not playing just to lose the games. You're playing the games because you want to win and you want to win a championship, and you should. I think it's great. I mean, that's what that's why you play the game.
Well, in Paul's case, it wasn't like he joined him as a free agent. I believe he was traded, wasn't he, to get over there? So it's like, you know what, to be a piece there. So more power to him. Wasn't it Jordan Poole, I think, that got traded for him?
Yes.
Yeah, it was, I thought. So Jordan Poole gets shipped east, right? And then chrispaul. Okay, well, that's good. All right, JB.
I have no problem with the statement except that, as Candy said, you play to win the game. So you should want to win the championship for yourself, for your team. Chris Paul, no Chris Paul. If RuPaul's on your team, you should want to win the championship. It doesn't matter what poll it is. What does it make a difference? You're playing because you want to win the championship. So, maybe stop hitting your teammates and start boxing out and doing what you should be doing and get back to the player Draymond Green used to be, and you'll have a shot to win a championship instead of running your mouth.
Well, with RuPaul, you picked another one that could knock out Jordan Poole.
Actually be a fair matchup.
All right, Denzel.
Man. Dray, this is the thing that the sports world is it has to learn about Draymond is the man's gonna voice his opinion. He definitely he's got a podcast for Christ's sake, right? I mean, he's the brash, and Scott's gonna hang me for this one. His brashness reminds me of Rodman. It just does, it just does. It's not on level 10.
Why would I hate you for that?
No, it's just.
Why would I hate you for that? Wait. Back up.
Hmm?
Why would I hate you for that when I work with Dennis Rodman? All right, can I? You know what? I'm going to go back to the old Fred Sanford thing. Okay, are you crazy? Really? Seriously? Now you got me going. I work with Rodman. I know Draymond. That's one of the best analogies you've come up with. So I'll say it again, even though you probably can't hear it through the earphones. Are you crazy? Great line.
I know how much. I know. Well, see, that's the thing, Scott. I know how much the man means to you. You close to him and everything. And whenever you're close with somebody, you're critical of them. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like,
Rodman.
you know,
I beat him in bowling.
Hey,
After I won a trophy for most unusual form. I told him his free show through and he stunk. And you know what? He thought my bowling form was bad, and I beat him anyways. But it was a fun game.
I bet it was fun.
Go ahead. I know I threw you off, but go ahead. You really set me up for that.
Hey, if anyone knows how to trigger Scott, it's me. And maybe
you did it tonight, brother.
But no, the thing is with Draymond Green is he's always going to voice his opinion about it. And he's got the carefree no matter what you got to say. Now, my thing is with Chris Paul. Chris Paul wants to win, and I'm in line with Kane on this one. He wants to win. He wants to win a championship. Had he won with the Rockets, he would have retired. Had he won with the Suns, he would have retired. This is why he's hanging on. He doesn't want to go down as one of the greatest never to have won it all. So I'd like the move. Whether he comes off the bench and plays 10 games a season, as long as he wins and he's on that roster, that's all I care about. I think the man's deserving. But
well, here's the one thing you're really missing out of all this. Once upon a time, when he played for New Orleans and the NBA owned that franchise, okay, they ended up making a trade to the Lakers, and David Stern nixed that trade.
He nixed it, yep.
And he put the kibosh on it. That might have been his chance to get that ring. So then he had to play for the minor league team called the LA Clippers, and we all know how that turned out. A talented team that that underperformed. So let's make sure we cover all angles here. And, since we had a basketball show that once upon a time that reflected those times, to me, it's one of those situations where, if there's anybody that's had bad luck trying to get on the championship trail, Chrispaul's it. All right, I'm setting you up, Jacob. See if you can intervene between Denzel and I. He really.
Oh, you already know I will. You already know.
At least he came out at the last minute to take this.
Yeah, but let me say this: you notice, and Denzel knows where I'm going to go here. You notice who Draymond and the Warriors chose to get them the ring. Who's chosen? Paul, not Harden. Not Harden. You want to know why? And it's because they know the NBA fraternity knows Paul is giving. There's just something freezes up in the head, but he's trying his darndest to get this. Things happen, bad luck. It was basically Dusty Baker before he finally got his. Something would happen, and you got it. You know what I'm saying, Denzel? Something would finally happen. Something 2003 would happen. Blah blah blah. He finally got it. Paul is that kind of like the old Dusty Baker luck. There's never going to be a Harden because they know he's lazy. They know he cares about the clout. They know he cares about being around that baby or that brat or whatever the heck the name is. That's all he cares about. He cares about the clout and the strippers. They know it, and it's like, and they don't want anything to do with that. They know they're not going to win with him on the team. You can win with the right kind of situation with Paul and you helping him out, you can get it. Harden would just destroy you. So they know this themselves. So they're going, I don't mind them doing what they're doing for Paul because they've gotten 4 of their own anyway.
No, I agree. That's why I brought this up. He'll give me cert on James Harden and you'll never make it to confidential. So we'll leave that for another time when JB Ellis returns. How's that? I want to feel like we need Mr. Ellis out of the party on that kind of a conversation. But we are staying with the NBA. And this is one that we all easily have a lot of opinions on. We just have to make sure they're all done in about 5 to 7, 8 minutes. The NBA Board of Governors has approved stricter wrestling policy and punishment for teams that sit star players for national TV or in-season tournament games. Rest multiple stars at once. A star is defined as a player who has made an all-star or all-NBA team in the past 3 seasons. Recent CBA had a 65-game requirement to get awards to combat load management. And yes, leave it to Sir Charles Barkley to voice an opinion. God love Charles. I always tell him that. He always knows where he stands. I got a photo with the guy to prove it. So Charles Barkley's comment, you're going to make $70 million and can't play basketball 3 to 4 days a week? Oh, gosh, I love this comment. All right, Candy.
There again, here we talk about we pay these guys millions of dollars to play a game that any one of us would love to get paid that kind of money to play a game. I feel it's all about money. It's driven by money. And let's face it, they don't want them to sit because they don't want the fans that are paying money to go see a game or a televised game advertised with advertising money. They want the stars on TV. They want the stars playing the game. That's the reason they get paid. If you can't handle that kind of a season, then you should have negotiated in your contract to not play all those games and to only play half the season or half the games. You get paid a lot of money to play the game. You know how many games in the season there are. Be ready to play the games in the season or retire.
Yeah. JB?
It's an absolute joke that the NBA needs to put a policy in place for this. They spaced out the schedule so that there's minimal back-to-back games. Try playing baseball where you play 162 games and you go on the road for 2 weeks at a time.
Right.
You fly out 2 o'clock in the morning some nights and have to play a night game the next day after you get to the hotel at 6, 7, 8 in the morning. And you got to be at the field at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And baseball's not very fast moving, so you're just sitting around most of the 2.5 hours that they made the game quicker. Try doing that. And there's guys that don't miss games. Meanwhile, the NBA, you're playing every other day at most. You get 3 and 4 day breaks in between. You normally don't travel and play the next night, so you get a full night's sleep. The fact that this even needs to be talked about. And I get that, the rest has extended people's careers and there's better ways of doing things. We don't want these guys only to play 4 or 5 years. We want them to play as long as they can. It's great to see LeBron still playing at a good level, in his late 30s. But at the same time, people pay money. But I don't believe for a second that they care about the fans that are there. They care about the advertisers of the national TV games. That's why it was the national TV games that they're talking about in this. So, they care about, these companies that are paying millions of dollars to put their brand on TNT and ESPN on Friday and Tuesday nights. That's who they care about. They want to be associated with the top players. And, it hurts the brand of the NBA to have these guys sit. So I get it completely. And it's just sad to think that this is what it's come to.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Denzel?
Yeah, I agree with JB on this one. Just imagine you taking a road trip or flying out to see your team and everything, and then you get there, you want to see your favorite player and such. Maybe you got some kids with you, your son, your daughter, or something, and you get there to find out that your favorite player, the player you came all that way to see, is taking a rest on load management.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love the rule. I love the other rule in which you have to play at least 65 games if you want to qualify for an award. MVP, player of the year, anything. You want to qualify for any award, you got to play those minimum amount of games. And I like it. I do, because in these players' contracts, they have incentives where if they win said awards, they get paid more money.
Right.
And that is how you change the game. If you want them to shape up, start hitting them in their pockets and make them believers. Because they know they can go out there and win offensive, player, defensive player, MVP. They know what kind of player they are, So to sit there and just be like, oh, I'm just not going to play because I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? You can't sit here and play 40 games and expect to be most valuable player because you were all NBA for like 39 of them. You know what I mean? That's unfair to the guy that actually played all 82, or he played 80, 80 of 82, or even 78 of 82. You know what I mean? Yeah. start hitting their pockets. Start letting them know, like, hey, you bring home that award, you get you another $500,000 or $1 million or something like that. But also at the same time, no, this is a great rule to have because ever since this load management has happened, it's been a joke. It's been quite the joke, and like Candy said, you're getting paid top dollar to play a kid's game. How many players really make it to the pros? Like 1%, something like that, 2%? You're lucky. Take advantage of it as much as you can.
Turn over to Jacob. He'll probably need every bit of these 5-6 minutes.
Well, let me tell you this.
You
You remember what we talked about, Denzel?
Before I turn over, wait, hold on one second. Before I turn over to Jacob, because I want to make my point as short as I can, so I allow at least this much anyways. The NBA does not come across as a blue-collar sport, okay? It's obvious by the games missed for unnecessary reason. And second, I think that number should have been 65 to 70, okay? 70 to me is good enough. 65, they sat there and it's not good. 70 would be way better. Okay, I said that. The floor is yours, Jacob. I felt you probably used the extra time, so I give you another step.
You're good. Well, Denzel, you remember what we talked about? The tournament.
Yep.
Remember when I said teams like Orlando or whatever would have the chance to win it because a lot of these players aren't going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to want to play it, until the big game, like the semifinals or whatever. They're not. Yeah, there's money involved. There is all that kind of thing, but it's also a break. I just read something on LeBron James that if you have a specific amount of minutes, which he's well over it, you get yourself a voucher from the league to get as much time as you want. That was new in the CBA. As much time as you want out, in the load management thing. If you've got a certain amount of minutes in your career, so he ain't playing until the semifinals, and it. And if they make it, so that's what we were bringing up in the original thing of Basket Bros. Did we not? That's the whole thing. That's why I pick a crap team. That's why I pick those because this happens. This happens right there. These players don't want to play. They don't want to get all that right there. And what's hilarious, you could understand the load management from the old times when they were trucking each other down the lane and everything like that. You would understand. But no, you didn't have that. But they played the softest type of game we've ever seen now. No one hits each other. No one's anything. But at the same time, this is AAU world where they've played 1 billion games. Then they get to the college. Then they play the year of college. They play the NBA. They're actually worn out at 22, 23 years old. Is it stupid? Yes, it is. You shouldn't be that way. But it goes back to what Candy said earlier. This is the thing. They are not using but one set of muscles. They're not getting everything built up, so they're getting hurt easier. So it's all that kind of stuff. When you guys said it is a money world, it's always been a certain money world. They talked about Mike Dick once wanted $18,000 from George Hallis. And they talked about that he wanted money even then, that time. But guess what? It's always been a money world. It's a lawyer's world now. It's lawyers and agents. And they want the best right on the spot.
All right. The only thing I'm going to say before we close it out, we'll give you guys an opportunity to find you, is this. None of you guys are as old as I am to understand tape delay on CBS. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, we know that. Tape delay. Let's not lose sight of the humility that the NBA was practically broke.
Hey, now Denzel just turned 60. No.
Yeah. Well, that means I've turned 120. But at any rate, one can only hope for Candy if I ever get to that age. Right now, she's just hoping I get to 61, but that's beside the point. But nevertheless, tape delay, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, David Stern, load management, really? That's all I have to say about it. So, unfortunately, I don't think this newer generation, the last several years, appreciates what it took to get to this point. And I'm not sure in my lifetime that they ever will. So, but I still think the number should be 70. And the name of the night is Nolanryan. How about that? Look at that stuff. And I give it to Denzel, even though he struck a chord with me tonight, coming on at the last minute. All right. Well, he did. Good stuff. So, all right. With that said, JB, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
JB_ the program, Sideline Sports every Tuesday, 8:30 on NFL Alumni Media. the J&J Sports Express, which is usually at 7 p.m. Eastern. Wasn't available tonight. Jeff, feel better. And then a Confidential after the show tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern next week, going back to the earlier time, and Denzel will be hosting while I'm away.
Okay. Jacob, try to give the Cliff Notes version. Okay?
Oh, no.
Because,
It is Cliff Notes version because I'm not going through the shows. I'm just going through I am on the Jake the Pundit at the Twitter. I'm on Jake Pundit 1 on TikTok. I am Jake the Pundit on Substack and Ricochet. I am working on Twitch. I'm on Patreon. I'm on a bunch of places, plus all the shows I'm on between South Florida Tribune and Sideline Sports.
Well, that's a good Cliff Notes. I'm impressed. You're making progress, as they say back home in Canada. Well, not quite home. I'm a mutt. No, never mind. Forget what I said. Windsor and Detroit are close by. That's all you need to know.
Oh, I see the butt in you.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. All right, Denzel, go ahead.
So this is going to be less of a Cliff Notes and more of a PSA. If you don't know where I'm at by now or who I am, give your pair of eyes to someone who's actually going to utilize them correctly.
I like that. All right, Candy.
I've never heard of that guy.
That was really good. I like that. That was really good. A lot of people can learn a lot of these shows, and this was a good one tonight. As we try to make them all good, but that PSA, is pretty good since he set me off. All right, Candy, take it home.
So you are listening to us on the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. If you like it, if you want to share it, even if you don't like it, hit that red subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything but a little button. Hitting it. Share us, like us, come over, see any of our other shows. We have Inside the Pigskin. We have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We have No Limits. We have Fire Up Wisconsin. We have, obviously, Sports Exchange from the Pundit. We have The Professor and the Pupil. We have lots of them. And if you like to listen to the audio version, you can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to be a guest, or if you have ideas, show ideas, email us, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. And the other thing is go over to our YouTube channel. You can see we've been covering the Miami Hurricanes football team, and we have all their post-game interviews up on our YouTube channel. Go over and check us out. Scott's writing a book. Scott, what else? Anything that I miss?
No, you did a great job. That's why I saved the best for last, and that was you, not me. So I'm not worried about that. But meanwhile, the only thing I have to say is, once again, JB Ellis, to you and Debbie, I want to wish you an early congratulations.
Thank you.
If you need advice on how to negotiate with the Mexicans, I'm sure the cell phones work in North America. I'll be more than happy to help you wear them out and get the best deals you can. And Cancun's an incredible place. Been there before. So you and Debbie go out there and have yourself a great time. And looking forward to the new Mrs. Ellis. She's a sweetheart. And
she is a sweetheart. We really wish you well, my man.
Yeah, we're a family here, Sideline and the Tribune. So we're one big family. Sometimes I may be a little bit bigger and louder family, but that again depends on who sets me off. Anyways, who cares? Just have fun. Our goal is to entertain and inform, and that's what we're certainly looking to do. And our partnership with Sideline continues to grow by the second. So with that said, on behalf of Candy Ebling, JB Ellis, Jacob Christner, and Denzel Snipes, my name is Scott Morgan, the Motor City Madmouth. Recharge. Hoping you get a little bit of sleep tonight. Don't hold your breath. Okay. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. No programming tomorrow. Candy Ebling and I will be covering Miami and Bethune-Cookman, but we'll be back at it, I believe, on next week. So take care, everybody. And Candy, take us home.